What is going on, OTB Nation? Welcome back to another episode of the allegedly award-nominated, honorably mentioned, now viewable on YouTube, Outside the Box podcast. It's episode number 225. KB and DJ not sitting next to each other in studio this week. But don't worry, in a couple weeks it'll be that way again. We got a lot coming at you this week, content-wise. Our Albany vlog should be up later this weekend for your viewing pleasure, because the boys had ourselves a time up in upstate New York. Much better opening weekend for both of us than last year. Let's just say that. We're going to get into the NLL Finals, Game 1. We're going to give you our pick for Game 2. Recap Albany real quick for you, because we know it's later in the week. We're also going to ask you guys a couple questions, because we're, do you want 2 episodes a week? Do you want us to make that happen? Is it something you want recap-wise? We'll get to that. We got a on-site Drake Porter Do review that we filmed in Albany. And then we're going to get into our Charlotte preview for Week 2 of the PLL. But before we get started, make sure you guys are following us on the socials at OTBLaxPod, Twitter and Instagram. Follow DJ on Twitter at SCS_NextGreat. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Check out the website, undergroundsportsphiladelphia.com, for all of our written content. Subscribe to the podcast feed, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, we are there. And the more 5-star ratings and reviews, more subscribes that we get on those, the more people find the podcast and can enjoy the fun lacrosse banter that we bring to you guys each and every week. And, of course, subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Full video episodes of OTB every Friday for you, and full video episodes of your favorite Underground Sports Philadelphia shows on our YouTube channel throughout the entire week. Plus, that's where all of our in-person vlogs are going to be. So every weekend we're going to be vlogging, and you're going to get them on our YouTube channel. Big thank you to our sponsors who make this show happen. Tomahawk Shades, the best small batch eyewear in the game. Go to TomahawkShades.com. Use promo code USP at checkout for 25% off your order at TomahawkShades.com. That's promo code USP at TomahawkShades.com for 25% off your order. Kenwood Beer, the official beer of the Underground. Go to KenwoodBeer.com and use the Kenny tracker to see who's got Kenwood Beer on tap in the Philadelphia area. Got to be 21 or older to do so. And, of course, please drink responsibly. And what might be DJ's new favorite sponsor, Bino Board. DJ, we got some preseason Bino in this weekend. Let the people know. You got your first taste.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely loved it once I was able to figure it out. First game was a little rough, figuring out the flick, seeing how things bounce, using the side bounce boards, whatever you want to call them. I had a lot of fun figuring that first game out. Second game, I really caught my wind. Washed things through, made it look good, and I'm really excited to keep playing, get my own board here, smash my friends so I can run table in the Bino Board League.
Yeah, the UBL coming to our YouTube channel very, very soon. DJ's first official match will be in a couple weeks when he's back in town, and I should be recording a match or 2 this weekend that will be getting ready to go up on the YouTube channel soon. You guys can get in and on all the action at binoboard.com. That's BINHOBOARD.com, and use our code BINOUSP for 10% off your order to get your own board, accessories, merch, all that good stuff. BINOUSP at binoboard.com. Deej, we had Game 1 of the NLL Finals when we were up in Albany. One of the most electric NLL games in recent memory. And the fact that it happened for Game 1 of the Finals was great. We had 7 hat tricks in this game. Absolutely stupid. I don't think you could have asked for a better opening game for the NLL Finals to be on ESPN, to be on TSN. The most back-and-forth game that I can remember since the 2019-2020 season when Saskatchewan and Halifax played, which is one of the most iconic games that I can remember in NLL history. This game goes to the Bandits, though, 15-14. Nick Weiss with the game winner. The boy Tahoka had himself a game 7 points, 5 goals, 2 assists. And, of course, my man, the Mad Hatter, Connor Robinson, had 9 points, 3 goals, 6 assists. This game was electric. I mean, both teams played extremely well. It was just a matter of Buffalo getting that last shot off, because it was back and forth the entire game. Like, we had 12 goals in the second quarter. Like, that's just absurd. And, like, as much as we want all of the guys who play in the PLL back on their PLL rosters, I'm hoping this series goes 3, because if we can get 3 games like this, that is just an unbelievable way to cap off the first season fully back for the NLL.
I mean, would I love to see 3 games? Yes, but there's no way we are that blessed on this earth to get 3 games like this in the NLL. Like, that would just be like this season for me, especially being first year, really being in it. Like, this season was amazing. Like, almost all the games were, must see lacrosse. Like, into it, couple goal game where you had to be watching to know what's going on. You had to stay in the game. But then, the playoffs, literally every game has been, if you look away for a second, you've missed 2 goals, 3 goals. And, you look up and you're like, what? It was just 3-5. And it's 6-9 and you're completely lost. Like, I've absolutely loved the action. I mean, every team has come out with such passion, such emotion, playing hard. You can tell how much an NLL championship means, not only to their team, but also to their fans, their organization, the city. Everybody's really putting in on a championship effort. That's what I was here for. These are the kind of teams I want to be a part of. This is who I want to be a fan of. A team that has the community and the fans, the entire organization that rallies behind, that 25-man roster that's going out on the field. That's what I like to see. This finals between Colorado and Buffalo is a perfect example of that. 2 teams that have their community and everything behind them, battling, and you could see it. I mean, this 1-goal game was a complete battle from the first whistle to the last. I was just happy to pick this one right, and I think I'm going to pick the next one right. But just to bring home the crown, even though I think you're going to win playoff either way, whether I win this next.
Yeah, we'll have to check the records on playoffs, but DJ does get the NLL regular season crown in our pick'em with this win, because there was a way that if I had won last week and if this series had gone 3 and I won the first game, we would have tied, which would have been the most ridiculous thing ever. But hats off, congrats on the regular season pick'em title. But yeah, I mean, like you said, this being your first year, and a lot of people being first year NLL fans who are kind of on that casual route or like trying to find their favorite team, like to get these 2 fan bases in the NLL Finals too, and you're gonna see it Saturday night at 8:00 now. Thank goodness for an updated, better for our East Coast brains start time. But to get the Loud House in the playoffs is gonna be bonkos. Like, I can't even begin to predict what it's going to be like in Colorado on Saturday night. And we saw what it was like on last week in Buffalo. Like, you had Joe's McFly from fucking John Boy Media making the trek up to Buffalo to go watch an NLL game in person in Bandit Land. Like, that's what these 2 fan bases are. These are 2 of the top 5 fan bases in the league in terms of fan attendance, passion, electricity, and this is the finals. Like, they do this every single week. Like, it's these 2 teams, it's Saskatchewan, it's Philadelphia. Like, these are the types of cities that bring that passion every single week to their NLL squads. And it was really cool to see on Twitter too, like, everybody who's involved in the lacrosse world that we're friends with and like are adjacent to the lacrosse world. It's like, we all can't wait for this to be just a week-by-week thing in the NLL, in the PLL, college, like starting to see, the sellouts at the women's Final Four and at the championship game. Like, that's what we want every single week. And now that we're seeing it for the finals, now that it's being broadcast on ESPN, on TSN in Canada, like, it's really starting to feel like it's taking shape in terms of like fandom and everything and the support for the sport, that like we're entering like that next phase of lacrosse being like quote unquote on the map, for lack of a better term.
As much as some people hate that there are so many different ways that we play the game of lacrosse, it's what makes us unique. There's 1,000 different ways to play football and basketball and all these other sports, but how many of those different ways are actually played, actually televised, actually being put into the Olympics? We are now going to have sixes in the Olympics and televised. We're going to have 10v10 college. We're going to have 10v10 field as far as pro. We're going to have box pro, all being televised and played. Like, that's huge. That's putting more eyes on the game. And if you know anything about basic fandom of sports, they want action, they want lots of scoring, and they want excitement. Box and sixes gives lacrosse the most of that for the average fan. We need those variations of our game to help expand and grow the game so that it does get to these sellouts where we have random fans. Go to a football game, a baseball game, a basketball game. There's 1,000 people, if not more, there that could care less about sports and have no clue what's going on, but those games are enjoyable. They can enjoy themselves there. There's action. Take advantage of having box and sixes, build up that basic fan base, and then we can start to see sellouts at, a PLL game or an NLL game, every city, no matter where it is.
Yeah, that one picture of Bandit Land last weekend with the lights on and everything, like, was so dope. And, like, that's ever since we started this podcast and I've, like, gotten into the NLL, like, that's what I've wanted to see at every game. Because I know I know the fan bases are capable of it, and I know the cities and the markets that the NLL is in are capable of it. And, like, Buffalo, Colorado, Saskatchewan, like, the teams that have been around, like, I'm not going to throw Philly in there just because it's brand new and we haven't had that playoff atmosphere yet. But from years past, you've seen it in Philadelphia as well. Like, those cities, off the top of my head, and I'm sure, there's others too that I just haven't personally seen yet. Toronto will probably be there even more so next year. Those are like the gold standard teams. And you want to see that in the smaller markets. You want to see that in these new markets. And I think we started to see that a little bit with San Diego this year, with people going out and watching that series against Colorado, which was very exciting, especially for lack of, not that San Diego itself is a small market, but they're a small market team when it comes to the NLL, and they're building that fan base up and trying to get people in the door. And I think it was very encouraging to see what we saw from them in the Western Conference Finals. But this is like the gold standard, and like this is like exactly what the NLL needed for their brand of lacrosse to be on display to the masses, is to have a Buffalo, have a Colorado with these passionate, insane fan bases. And it's only going to continue on Saturday night as Game 2 gets set to kick off, which might as well get right into it, Deej. Game 1 was a banger. Game 2, I'm sure, will not disappoint whatsoever. This week we can feed some ducks because we are not in the same room, using a different program, obviously. But it is time for the NLL Finals Game 2 Pick of the Week, powered by Pickup. You guys can go to playpickup.com, start playing the hottest headlines in sports, rack up points on your fan profiles, cash them in for prizes on the Pickup Marketplace. Go to playpickup.com now. This could potentially, DJ, be the final NLL pick of the week for the 2021-22 season. So we've got to pick carefully. And I feel like our allegiances are not going to falter once again, which I'm not mad about because it makes it more electric going forward. Me personally, knowing my brand and what it has been since 2018-2019, I had to pull up the screenshot a couple weeks ago, which is just perfection. I gotta stay loyal I got to go with the squad that follows us on the Twitter machine, has been an OG supporter of the pod. Got to go with friend of the program, Dylan Ward, and the rest of those Mammoth boys to get a win at home for the Loud House faithful and force a Game 3, which then it's anybody's ball game back in Bandit land. And I'm also probably just wish casting, being selfish, that we get a repeat of Game 1 in terms of back and forth, in terms of just high scoring, high octane electricity, just a couple feet above sea level out in Colorado. Give me the Colorado Mammoth to win Game 2, force a Game 3, and make it, winner take all for the NLL Cup.
And still, those dudes want to get back to their Chaos Brothers so bad. You can see it in the way they were playing last week. Chaos took a tough loss. I looked you right in the face in the press box immediately after that game was over, and I said, Buffalo by 1,000. Granted, it was by 1, but I was like, no way.
Divide that by 100 real quick.
No way does Buffalo lose tonight, right? I was like, after why? Because we all know those Chaos guys that are playing in Buffalo watched that Chaos game last week, and after watching them lose, especially with the way that they played, they didn't play bad. There's no way they're going to lose that game. They came out, they took care of business, they won a slim game. They want to get back so bad. I think they do whatever they have to do in what is going to be a bananas building in Ball Arena. But I think they can go out to Colorado and win it, take care of business, sweep it, still be champs, and then do whatever they have to do to get over to PLL and keep things rolling over there.
Now, I do have to ask you, because I feel like it's kind of a big deal. Would you feel different about this game if Ryan Lee was playing?
It would definitely make me consider a little bit more, because he is a big, integral part of their offense. But I think it's the idea that Buffalo does not want to play a Game 3. I don't think they want to. There's too much hanging on that. Yeah, they're going to play.
I think the only reason they'd want to play a Game 3 is just to win at home.
But
that's like the only reason.
What's the point in doing that? What's the point in scaring yourself like that?
That's like the only thing where it's like, if they do lose, they'll probably be like, oh, we can just win at home in front of our fans. And because I think when Calgary won in 2019, I could be wrong, so don't fact check me on this. I think Calgary won in Buffalo to win the title.
Yeah, I don't think they're looking to necessarily win at home, but if they were to drop this one, and that would be kind of their positive spin on it. Like, hey, we did these things wrong today. We did these things right today, but hey, let's just go win it at home. It's a very positive spin on dropping Game 2. I could see them, turning the tide that way after the game, but I think they're going in looking to close things out and to be playing in Long Island for PLL weekend.
I'm trying to pull it up here to see if I was right about Calgary winning in Buffalo. Of course, I can't find it anywhere. Well, the fun part about Calgary winning the 2019 titles is in overtime.
Ooh.
They won that game.
That is always fun.
Oh, no, they did win in Calgary. So they won Game 1 in Buffalo, and then they won in Calgary. But yeah, it should be just an exciting game overall. No matter what, this NLL season has been such a shot in the arm for so many people who have been waiting for the NLL to get back in action, and it's going to be capped off either, with a title being hoisted on Saturday night, or we get the ultimate treat of one final game for all the marbles. And either way, that's a perfect cherry on top to what has been a fantastic NLL season. Real quick recap of PLL Albany. The boys were up in upstate New York, had a ton of fun. Albany showed out, especially for the first time being opening weekend in Albany in PLL history. Obviously, the 2 seasons that have been on the tour have opened up in Boston at Gillette Stadium, but opened up in Albany. Fun matchups, unexpected outcomes, I would say. And arguably the best game of the weekend was the last one. But to recap the game scores, Whipsnakes beat Chaos 9-8 in one of the ugliest games we have seen, which was kind of expected with all the guys who of note were playing in the NLL Finals. Redwoods take their lumps and lose to Atlas 17-11. Cannons beat Waterdogs 16-10. And then Chrome hang on to beat Archers 11-10. I'll say Chrome Archers was my favorite game of the weekend. It was the most competitive in terms of just like watchability, and I think it was the most fluid game of the weekend, where Whips Chaos was just ugly, and as close of a game as it was not fun lacrosse. It was very, choppy, and that was expected because you have a bunch of guys from Chaos who haven't really played in a game setting together. And then you have Whipsnakes also trying to work some kinks out and bringing in some other guys playing in positions they haven't played within this Whipsnakes system before. Atlas Redwoods was just embarrassing for Redwoods. We'll talk about that game in just a little bit. Cannons Waterdogs was kind of a tale of two halves. Cannons just got out to such an early lead that they were able to just kind of coast in the second half almost, which allowed Waterdogs to climb back in a little bit, but that game was over before the second half even began. But Chrome Archers was the most fun, watchable game of the weekend in terms of like just seeing two teams compete, go back and forth, and I really enjoyed watching that game. Chrome impressed me a lot, especially with their ability to just hang on. Great stuff by Mike Manley on Marcus Holman to kind of save that game for Chrome. But overall, I mean, even though the games were kind of blowouty in a lot of ways, it was still a very entertaining weekend. My take on Atlas in the preseason is probably going to be the equivalent of my take on Albany in the NLL, because Atlas looks like a fucking juggernaut, and I hate it.
They do look really good to start the year, but looks can be deceiving. It is the beginning of the year. A lot of teams have chemistry things to work out, missing guys, etc. I'm interested to see that. To me, they're in a very good position because they're not really missing guys. They seem to have clicked early. So if they can keep this going, they're in a position where they're not necessarily playing catch up like everyone else. And we could be talking about them walking away with another first place finish or a first place finish this year after being second last year. But, if Chaos comes back and those guys are good and they fall in line, they're going to make a run. If the Woods can figure out their offense, they'll be able to make a run. Whips, obviously, when they get Zed back, are liable to make a run. They can't slouch one bit. Is Atlas looking like the best team in the PLL right now? Absolutely. But if they take one step back, they could easily be 4th, 5th, 6th best team in the league. It's that simple.
Yeah, I think they look the most fluid. Their attack line is ridiculous. I still need to go back and watch the first goal that, or the one goal that Lyle Thompson scored, and the first goal that Jeff Teat scored, and see which goal was faster in terms of time of ball in stick, ball leave stick, ball gets in back of net, because both of those, you blink and you miss those goals. They were ridiculous. Chris Gray looks like a pro and a half already, which people are already online saying, oh, did Crow mess up by taking Logan Wisnauskas over Chris Gray? No. But the fact that Atlas was able to get Chris Gray for free in this economy is ridiculous. We're big fans of this rookie class. It's obviously not as stacked as last year's rookie class, but overall, I think a lot of rookies made notable impacts. Logan got, shut out on the scoreboard, but I think that opened up things for his counterpart in Brennan Nichtern. He had a great debut. I think Asher Nolting had a fantastic debut. Chris Gray had a great debut. And BK Sticks had a phenomenal debut for Chaos, which really stood out to you because he was able to really clamp down on Juicy J, our guy Jay Carlson, and that stood out to me in a big way as a huge benefit for this Chaos defense that's going to be missing Johnny Surdick. But to be able to have BK play like that on a savvy veteran for most of the game was very impressive to me and might have been the most impressive performance by a rookie that won't get talked about because he's a defenseman.
Yeah, I agree. I think that was the most impressive rookie performance of the week. Like, I talked about it time and time again last PLL season, last summer. Like, you want to beat the Whips, you have to keep Jay Carlson off the board. You have to keep him from doing his garbage man dirty plays in the middle where he just scoops up some unknown ground ball and tosses it in. Brett Kennedy gave him absolutely zero space. Like I said to you in the press box, he knows what their pregame meal was because he can smell it on Jay's breath. Everywhere Jay went, he went. It was a phenomenal game. Jay ended up getting one because that's what Jay does. He finds a way to get one.
He's the trash man.
Yeah, just the way BK played him was unreal. But now, like, the real question about their defense is, I believe this is no disrespect, but obviously everybody's heard the way I talk about Jack. 99 is going to do his thing. He's going to shut it down. As long as Jay New can continue to stay and play the way that he played last weekend, BK can continue to do that. But then, if things start to slip, they have to make adjustments. Jared Newman's going to have to slide inside. BK is going to have to be more of a cover guy. And then we'll see what he's really got when he's going to have to go out on side and really play a guy cover. We're going to see what BK11's got because that's when it gets tough in the PLL. You can always shut off a guy and play inside pretty well. But when you got to go, guard a guy that's going to dodge and take you to the cup, we see what you really got. So I'm excited to see what he's got because although he won't get Rookie of the Year because of his position, in my opinion, he's got a strong case for it.
Yeah, he looked great, and it was great for my brand. Even though you're not a fan of the Sticks, you got to admit, he pulled it off. In your book, I know not many, if at all, can pull it off. BK looked pretty damn good in that number 11.
Well, what I'll say is Sticks is an okay number for pulls. You got a long stick, you can pull off the sticks. Long sticks look good with the palindromes. They do.
I mean, also that defense being all palindromes is fucking elite.
That is also fantastic.
11, 88, 99.
And they have 44 with Matt Reese.
And they just 11 plus 88 is 99. It's so great for my OCD. That's just, it was great performance by BK. I was most impressed by him this weekend because I think the other rookies, it's you kind of had predetermined expectations for what they were going to be. But with BK stepping into that system and in such a heavy role with Johnny Surdick being out and how imperative he was to their defense last year for them to win a championship, for BK to step in and look like a pro already, in his first professional action was very, very impressive. Redwoods, their offense just needs to figure it out. Jules looked great. Jules is fantastic. No perk this weekend is going to hurt. We'll get into that in a little bit. I think it's going to hurt, but we'll talk about it. They need John Saxton back like they need oxygen to breathe.
Hold on that. hold on that. D3 to PLL pipeline is going to come through this weekend. We have a Kennedy of our own that is going to ball out at LSM this weekend. I have all the faith in the world in Ryan Kennedy. He's a York man, was playing ball out there. I think he's got what it takes. Arden's going to end up down low. I think they take Finn out this week. Do I think they should take Finn out? No, I think it should be someone else. But I think they'll take Finn out, put Arden down low. He's rocking 40.
Yeah, Lacrosse Twitter,
40.
Redwoods Nation. We are very, very close. We are 1 week away. I am addressing the public here. We are 1 week away from Arden Cohen wearing an elite jersey number. We have bullied him so much that he has changed from his Lou Holtz left guard number 60 after 1 week to number 40 this week. So now he's playing like that weird hybrid. I'm a slim, thick speed linebacker coming out of a Division II Mountain West school. We're very close. We're very, very close. Don't stop what you've been doing. Continue the slander. 40 it's better than 60. He's dropped 20 pounds. We got to keep it rolling. Arden is too elite of a defender to be wearing these thick-ass numbers. Let's keep the slander going. It's positive reinforcement, okay? We both know how good Arden is. Casual fans are going to say he looked terrible. We are going to say he looked terrible. But we know why he looked terrible. He was out of position. That was a question that if we would have had more time or one-on-one time, I would have loved to have picked Nat's brain on that. Hopefully, we right that wrong. We right that ship, and we just continue to just bully him into a much better number than 40 as a defenseman. But I think Arden will have a bounce-back week this week. I'm kind of just writing last week off. It was a whatever. Last week was kind of just like a whatever week for Redwoods out, unless your name was Jules Henningberg.
From what I saw, oh, whoa, hello. From what I saw last week, it really looked like Nat was allowing them to play through first game jitters. It looked like he walked in the locker room before the game and said, all right, for some of y'all, this is the first game of the year. For some of y'all, this is the first professional game ever. So just go out there and have fun and play. We'll adjust as we can, but we'll just play. Get through the first game, and we'll go from there. Like, it really looked like he was just letting them play that first game, and he'll make adjustments heading into this week, which I don't hate that. I think a lot of teams tried to, ease into this week, and I think that might possibly bite some teams, or this will possibly help the Woods in a way where, this next week and every week after, they're kind of just playing because they've gotten all of that, everything else out. He just let them play. The best way to knock a rust, as they tell shooters, is shoot, right? Keep shooting. If you're not hitting the net, keep shooting. One of them will go in. Same thing. Just play. Whatever happens, happens. Oh, well. Oh, you throw it away? Okay, get back and ride. We'll keep playing. Get through it. It's a tough game. Oh, well, shake it off and keep playing. That's really what it looked like. I don't hate it. Did I hate it at the moment? Yeah, because, it looked awful. But do I hate it moving forward? Not really.
I did find it interesting that these two teams, Redwoods and Atlas, were the two teams that made goalie switches in this game. And in the press conference, Nat and Ben Rubior gave polar opposite answers as to why they did it. Nat said that it was game flow for Timmy, which me personally, I didn't agree with the change when it happened. And then Rubior said that their change was predetermined, which I also find very interesting. He said that there's multiple players on that Atlas squad that they're going to look to get, almost rotational minutes for. And we've seen a goalie tandem in this league work before with Archers, with Drew Adams and Gitz, and it's worked. It's a matter of, I think, if you're going to employ that, if you're Atlas, you need to make sure I mean, it looked like JD was totally fine with it. You need to make sure that Jack Concannon is in that mindset of like, okay, I'm going to play the first half or the second half, whatever it may be. And because of the position you play, I think you have to be in a mindset of like, all right, these are the reps I'm going to get. I got to go out there and just pop off for a half. Because I think it's a completely different mindset, not having played the position, but watching guys and having watched that goalie tandem of Gitz and Drew Adams of preparation is the biggest thing. And just mindset preparation for only playing a half and not taking it as a slight at your play one way or another. It's going to be interesting to see how they roll things out because I think JD played very well. I think Jack played pretty well too. I just didn't really understand the change full blown for Redwoods when it was a 2-goal game at halftime, and then you and I both agreed that you needed to call a timeout after 3 straight goals peppered on Jack Kelly, not 5. I said they should have switched out again, but we'll see what happens because it's big time matchups for both of these teams moving into Charlotte. But any other takeaways from Albany? I think Cannon's play. Stephen Kelly was fantastic. I think both Kellys, Stephen and Tommy Kelly, were both fantastic. I think that was another headline of the weekend besides the 2 goalie swaps was face-off guys bounce back that needed a bounce back in a big way between Tommy Kelly, Bones Kelly, Connor Farrell. We saw a lot of face-off guys who have had down years or, were out of the league last year bounce back in a major way, and that was very, very fun to watch because if we have more competitive matchups at the Stripe this year, the better off I think games as a whole are going to be because both teams, whoever are playing, are going to get more opportunities for possession. It's going to be a much more back and forth, highly competitive game because possessions are going to matter that much more.
Well, touching on the goalie situation, like for Atlas, I could see them absolutely going into that thinking of splitting time. They probably both had a great camp, but I don't think they're in the same scenario as Archers where they're looking to split time because they have 2 really good goalies. I think they just don't know which one to go with. 1, because of camp, and 2, because JD came in so well after Jack's he came in after Jack's injury and played so well last year that you can't really just say, okay, JD, we're giving the job back to Jack. Like, in my opinion, as a coach, you have to give JD a full opportunity to fight for that spot because of how he handled himself last year. So I think their scenario is more of just finding their guy for this year versus Archers was literally just like, we literally have 2 really good goalies and can't decide who's better. And the Redwoods, I do think it was a gameplay thing. Like I mentioned at the game, like it's halftime and literally Timmy had 0 saves. You can't play 24 minutes of lacrosse as a goalie at that level and have 0 saves. You're not seeing the ball at that point. I have to pull you, even if it's for maybe he does go back in when Jack was struggling, but I have to pull you for at least a few minutes. You literally cannot see the ball.
That was more my issue.
I have to do something.
Not switching again when you have the guy you're replacing, somebody who, for all intents and purposes, from what we saw, wasn't seeing the ball, gets 5 straight peppered on him in what felt like, 2 minutes. With just how quickly that Atlas offense was moving and how quickly Trevor was being able to get possessions on those 5 goals. That was where I was just scratching my head. It's all right, clearly Jack Kelly doesn't have it right now either. Let's just see if, Timmy can get it back. But
that's where I think that letting the first game jitters go. The defense wasn't necessarily helping Timmy that much. They weren't playing terrible in the first half, but they weren't helping him a lot. And it seemed to have gotten worse when Jack got in the game. They literally weren't helping Jack at all. So in Nat's head, he probably went, well, why am I going to put Timmy back in there if D is going to play this bad? Might as well just let him play it out and do their thing. He literally looked like he just let the reins go and was like, hey, guys, just play. We're going to get through this game, figure it out when everything is done. And it's tough. Goalies are head cases. It's tough going in, putting the goalie in, and pulling them, and that's a lot of tough conversations to have. It's being a coach now, and it's I start to understand some of the decisions they make because you got to go have conversations with your players afterward, and like it starts to get hard having 2, 3, 4 conversations after a game because of some of the decisions you made. So you kind of minimize that as much as you can, and like I said, you kind of just got to play out those jitters. Loved the Kelly boys this weekend. TK, Steven, both did phenomenal. I mean, I didn't expect to eat. And TK, I was like, maybe, possibly. We didn't know what to really expect from him after his last 2 years, but it's Bones. I was not expecting that. I was like, oh, he's going up against – who do they have?
Jake Withers.
Yeah, Jake Withers. I was like that unit's going to do perfect. Like, they're fine. And I think he won. Bones won the first, 7, 8 in a row. And I was literally up in the box, and I was like, yo, what is going on?
We all were.
Because, I had Jake on my fantasy squad. I was like, I picked the worst face-off guy for the weekend. Like, this is ridiculous.
And going into it, I thought I did because TK had a fantastic game against Nards where he went almost 50%.
Yeah. So it was great from the Kelly boys at the Stripe. So hoping for more success for them moving forward. My 2 favorite positions on the field, other than defense, obviously, because I played our goalie and face off, because your special teams are the reason you win the game. You got a good face off, you got a good goalie. That means you got more possession, you're scoring more goals.
And
so those are important.
As a former kicker and a former, just big supporter of the guys that don't get enough love, having covered lacrosse the way I have, I've fallen in love with the face-off position. So seeing the success of 7 out of the 8 face-off guys, for the most part, this weekend was very fun. If that can stay consistent, man, we're in for an unreal season at the Stripe.
Yeah, and then my only other takeaway was the Chrome offense. I think is sneakily 4th best offense in the league, low key. Putting Nick Turn down low and having their attack line be Nick Turn, Logan, and Malloy is a power move, because now your first midfield can be Justin Anderson, Colin Heacock, and Jackson Morrill. There's so many options they have in midfield now with all of the pieces they have there to add to that. Just filthy attack line. Logan can literally do everything. Brendan can do everything. And then you have, Dylan Malloy sets his foot into the ground, you might as well put a point on the board. If he plants his foot, the Ripper's going in.
And Sudo said in the press conference he lost a lot of weight this offseason, wasn't sure how he was going to, be able to perform with the way he did last year and be a similar type player. And he looked fantastic.
He looked like he did in college. Taking it straight to the rack, you can't stop me. You can put 2 or 3 people in front of me, but I'm literally just better than you at lacrosse. And it was unreal to see. I'm happy to see that Dylan Malloy come back.
His shiftiness was so much more fluid. It didn't look laborious it did last year. And I think that weight loss is just going to be that much more helpful for him out there to be able to shift around defenders and be able to take it to the rack like he did this weekend.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that offense continue to flourish, because they got some pieces, and they're really I still think they're a piece or 2 away on that offensive side in terms of midfield depth and being able to cycle through guys that can continuously keep that production going. But they are definitely in a good space to continue to grow, and we could be talking about them in a year, 2, maybe 3 of being top two, if not the best offense in the league.
I will bring this up before we get into our next topic. Somebody brought this up to Diggs this past weekend in his mentions. I want to pull this up and not mess it up. It was about Jake Carraway. And obviously he was on the restricted roster last week for Atlas. He's not even on that this week for Atlas, but somebody brought up trading Jake Caraway to Chrome. And I wanted to get your thoughts on that, of Caraway potentially being in with the beauties. I'm going to try to find the full-blown tweet as to the reasoning, but that intrigues me. And Caraway would look so fucking good in that uniform.
Well, I won't say it can't happen, because as we've
seen crazier.
Do know Rubior likes to do away with draft picks. He loves using them. He loves obtaining them, trading them. Caraway is a phenomenal player, so I wouldn't be surprised to see Rubior go, yeah, I'll take a pick or two for Caraway. And now we're talking about Caraway being in that midfield along with Heacock, Muriel, Justin Anderson, etc. Jordan McIntosh had a good week last weekend too. You're mixing him in with those guys. Like Caraway going to the Chrome, I personally like a lot. Chrome is low-key becoming a league pass team for me on the low. I mean, obviously the color scheme is nice, but just, some of the players they have, absolutely love JT Giles Harris. Connor Farrell is just a ball of energy. Their offense is amazing. I am not opposed to Mr. Half Tuck, Fully Tuck, whatever Tuck, Caraway making his way over to the beauties.
Here it is. This is at Ryder Cochran on Twitter. My random with zero info prediction. Caraway traded to Chrome by the deadline. Wisnowskis left wing, Nick Turn X, Caraway right wing is a hell of a young trio.
They'd leave Malloy down. Malloy can't run out of the box. They're going to leave him down at attack. But, I mean, yeah, I'm not opposed to Caraway going and playing with the Buttes. I think he fits into their offensive scheme well. Even if they were to take someone off of that attack line, he could switch out with Nick Turn or Logan and still be productive with that team, whether he runs out of midfield or he plays at attack. So, I mean, there's plenty of options for him over in a Butte uniform.
Man, we haven't been fully tucked at all this year, and it's messing with my mojo. Albany was a ton of fun. Also, Mike Messenger for the brand, #ding laid one out. He looked really, really good this weekend for Chrome as well. I'm a big fan of him being in the league. I think he's going to be a helpful piece for that Chrome team. Just absolutely fucking laid one out. Which was hilarious. But that being said, we are going to bring you guys a special on-location edition of All right, Deej.
I'm already upset. You want to take a guess at why I'm upset?
You got the paper straw.
I got a point. I want to go back to Michigan. I like this shit. We get plastic bags. We get plastic straws.
We got the Do Review.
I have one of these on the way.
DJ's got a double review. I'm going to film his. He's going to film mine. We're taste testing for the first time in person, an exclusive. Deej, without any further ado. Now, they did say this pairs well with chicken.
trying to figure out like what the flavor is supposed to be. Like it doesn't taste flavorless, but I can't like pin it down. It's good. It's not bad at all. But like until I can like figure out what the flavor is, I can't really even begin to rate it. I'm gonna look it up.
It's like
Blackberry, citrus with ginger. Okay, it's fire. You ready?
What's the score?
Oh, I gotta give a score right away?
I figured. We'll take the scores on each video, and then we'll put them side by side.
Pretty high, but
all right, 8 flat. We're about to get to mine. Sit tight.
all right, what up, people? We are back. KB's time for Do Review.
We got the Do Review Mountain Dew Legend.
Any pre-thoughts before you dive in?
Well, the people know your score. We're about to get mine. I like the blackberry. Can I do an order of fried pickles? Yeah.
Can I get an order of mozzarella sticks, please? Can I get a ranch with that? I guess I'll go ahead and put my wing order. Can I get a 10 boneless? And could I do half buffalo and then half spicy garlic? We'll go medium. Ranch, please.
Can I do the like the combo with the fries with the traditional? Yeah. Can I do the traditional with the Chipotle barbecue dry rub? Oh, not that combo. Just like it's just like traditional wings and then fries together. Okay. Yeah, I'll just do 10 traditional Chipotle barbecue and the side fries. No, thank you. Thank you. Take 2. Take 2.
All right, we are back. KB's time to do his Do Review.
Drink Order Do Review, live from B-Dubs, Mountain Dew Legend. I just looked up what the flavor is.
Any last thoughts before you dive in?
I'm intrigued by the blackberry. I'll say that. Not sure how the ginger's gonna pair with it. Obviously, Clay Thompson has let us know that it pairs well with chicken. So we might have to also add in the pairing flavor as a side review. But I'm excited. I like these exclusives. So here we go. Mountain Dew Legend, live from Albany, New York. It's Saturday night. Shout out SNL. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Definitely one that needs to be freezing cold. I think simply just because of the flavor makeup. That's getting us solid. Like, that's a 9. That's a 9. 9 flat. I typically... No, you know what? I don't typically give the flat score 9-1. It gets that little boost over the hill, either 8-9, 9-1. I really like the flavor makeup. It's really, really good. It's smooth. And like I said, it's definitely got to be one that's like ice cold or you got to put ice in. I'm typically not an ice guy, but this is one of them that I can like clearly taste that needs the ice to pair well. I'm excited to see what it tastes like with chicken. But by itself, 9-1. This is sensational.
That's huge for you, dude. 9-1 is huge.
9-1 on the Mountain Dew Legend.
I'm sad, but not sad that you're not a drinker because
We got the alcoholic version.
I'm excited for the Long Island with that. Would have been dope if you to do one, but hey, this is about to be dope. And then we'll do the chicken one.
Little side review.
Yeah, we'll
bonus.
do a side review. This will probably be. We back. 2 reviews in one coming this time. Technically 3 for me. But we'll start with the Legend Long Island. It's got vodka, gin, triple sec, lemon, and then the Legend Long Island, or Legend Mountain Dew. Intrigued, because with the way this tastes, I wouldn't be surprised if this tasted very, very good.
Now, granted, this is also on a different scale almost because it is alcoholic.
Yeah, it's on a totally different scale.
It's like we have the can scale, we have the bottle scale.
We got the fountain scale.
Now we got the fountain cup scale.
We got the alcohol scale.
It's different scales.
I will say, that was like the first thing came to my mind. I drank it, I was like, this would go really good in the drink. So, here we go. The bad thing about this drink is the blackberry citrus ginger, like, dissipates the alcohol. It's very, very good. This is one of those mixed drinks you replicate at the crib on all real. Like, this is very, very good. Great. Thank you. I'd give this on our new scale a 9-1. This gets a 9-1 on the new scale. I guess I'll hop right in and get a piece of chicken. That makes it taste definitely better. Whipped chicken, 9.2. 9.2 whipped chicken. Absolutely.
All right, people, we're back.
We're doing the with chicken bonus review. We got the traditional Chipotle barbecue dry rub going with the Mountain Dew Legend. DJ bumped his score up quite a bit with the chicken.
I had
1.2 points.
I will say I have spicy garlic and medium buffalo boneless. I took a bite. I took a bite of the medium buffalo.
We got a little spice going on with it, which I think is going to work really well, as DJ pointed out. So here we go.
Oh, great bite. Great bite. Uh-huh.
God. With the chicken. It's a 9-2. It's a 9-2. That's unbelievable. What a pair. Whoever had the taste buds and the palate for that, hats off to you. Well done.
I would say what I want to say, but we have a kids audience, so I won't. But they definitely deserve a nightcap.
Yes, well done.
Awesome job.
I want to kiss you on the forehead.
So that was our on location Drake Porter Dew review, limited edition, only available at B-Dubs. That was a good one, Deej. That was a good one. Big fan.
I'm going back for that Long Island for sure. I can have a couple of those. I can have a couple of those in a night and feel good. Not the infamous 10 that Quay had down there at Chickies and Pete's, but I can have quite a few.
Yeah, talk about the island boy.
Yeah, that's why he's not coming with us this summer.
Yeah.
Man's going all over the globe. He's not staying in the country anymore. Man said he's going international. He's got passport stamps to run.
He's like Ash Ketchum out here.
He said PLL. Psh, been there, done that.
He said, I got to get these badges real quick. I got to qualify for the Elite Four. Oh, man. But yeah, very fun. Do review there. Add it to the database. Let's get into PLL Charlotte. This weekend should be a lot of fun. I know everybody's calling for our boy Michael Harrison to bang the drum down there, which would be electric. We will not be down in Charlotte, unfortunately, but some big-time matchups. I'm going to run through them real quick in terms of just, looking at the matchups, how we see these games, throwing down on Friday and Saturday night. Big-time night games. We got Friday night Lacrosse back, which is always a doozy on the Twitter machine. We got Chrome Redwoods at 6 p.m. on Friday night, and then we got Chaos Archers, the Ian McKay, Connor Fields matchup, where neither of them will be playing in it, at 8:45. And then on Saturday, we get Atlas Cannons at 6 p.m. and Whipsnakes Water Dogs at 8:45 p.m. I don't know why, but it always feels like every team just has a rivalry with Whipsnakes. Like, I feel like Chaos Whips is starting to get there, very similar to Woods Whips. And I feel like Water Dogs Whips should be a rivalry. I don't know why, but when I see those two logos next to each other, I'm like, these two teams should just fucking hate each other. And I don't have any reasoning for it, especially now that, like, Drew Snyder's retired, Ryan Drenner's not on Water Dogs, like, and Ben Reeves is not playing this year. Like, I have zero justification or reasoning for it, but just seeing those two logos next to each other, it's like, these two teams should absolutely hate each other. Don't know why. Let me know if you feel the same in the YouTube comment section. But let's start off with Chrome Woods. 1-0 Chrome, 0-1 Woods. Should be, I think this is a battle of physicality for these two teams. Sucks Perk is doubtful for this game for that reason. But whenever these two teams play, it does seem to be more a battle of, being able to out-grit one another. TD versus Connor Farrell should be interesting, especially if Connor Farrell continues to play like he did in Albany. Redwood's offense just needs to click, and we were talking about it in the box in Albany. Like, we felt like the momentum was yoinked out of Redwoods as soon as RP3 went down with his cramp. But obviously he came back in and scored right away. But it felt like that moment, it was like, oh, geez, like the life of our team just got sucked out of us. RP3 just has to shoot better than 16% this year, first and foremost. Like, you can't have that from the superstar player you trade for, who is supposed to be the quarterback of your offense, shooting below 20%. Like, that just can't happen. Jules can't be your entire offense. Like, Jules can have those games where he pops off, but you have to have the other pieces around him doing something. And Cav needs to play better this weekend. Matt Cavanaugh did not look good in Albany. He needs to put the ball on people's sticks better. His passes were very errant. And overall, the defense just needs to be much more locked in than they were in Albany in front of whoever is playing goalie for this team. Because we saw what this Chrome offense was capable of early, and if they get off to an early start, it's going to be tough to bounce back because their defense did a lot of things that we weren't expecting from them going into the season. That's why I was like skeptical of their defense, but now seeing it, and they're kind of playing just a man-to-man defense, which not everybody in this league does. It's more of a system defense than anything else, but Pseudo's just kind of deploying them like, go cover your guy. Like, go, you have this guy, you're covering him. It's very NBA, very like NFL man-to-man defense, which works for this team because they haven't played a lot together as a unit, so deploying them man-to-man works, and I did not hate it one bit. So that's going to be something that this Redwoods offense is going to have to, take a look at and see how to beat that man-to-man. But the offense just needs to find some cohesiveness and not stall in the transition game, because that was their biggest fault last year. Was their transition game was terrible, and it's their offense just seemed to get stuck in Albany against that Atlas team.
I think transition it's an iffy thing. It's all dependent on your team. The way the Woods are set up, TBH, they're not a transition team. They're not. They're more of a let's clear it, get it to our offense, sub those guys on, and run our offense, which is fine. But once you get those guys on, you got to go. Dodge it there, bang it, reverse it, redodge. Like, they're just not fast enough in that settled offense. I don't mind them not pushing transition because it just doesn't work for some teams. But if that's going to be your case, you have to actually efficiently run your offense, which is their next step on that side. But I don't even think that's the real problem. I think the problem is defensively. They're a team that runs from that side of the field. When defense is playing well, Woods are literally unstoppable. Look at almost every game they've won in their entire history. Their defense was playing top-notch, which fed into their offense because the offense was just having the ball enough to where even when they weren't necessarily clicking right away, they had the time and the reps to figure it out in game at the moment. They're not getting that right now. I think that starts with moving Arden down low and actually getting quality reps defensively, causing turnovers and, clearing the ball, getting it down to the attack. But, that's really where it's going to be, is how can they handle this Chrome offense? Can they turn them over, make them uncomfortable, and clear the ball? I think the offense runs from defense. Defense has to be comfortable and play well. That's the Woods' real problem heading into all of this. Chrome, I know I just talked so much about the defense, but for them, it's also going to be their defense. If the Woods defense is playing well, they have a task on their hands. They have to get into that Woods defense, get in their heads early, make them uncomfortable from the get up. Or, if you let Jules pop off for 2 goals right away and Rob pulls one off and then Ryder pulls one off and it's 4-1 or 4-0, you might as well call it quits, TBH. That offense is going to fire on all cylinders. Before you know it, Matt Kavanaugh's got a couple. Miles has a 2-bomb and an assist, and things have gotten completely out of control. So their defense has to lock in as well from step one. Whatever defense plays better this weekend is going to be the one that wins.
Yeah, it's going to be an intriguing matchup. I think it's going to be a physical matchup.
That part. You brought up the physical thing and Perk not playing. I don't mind Perk not playing this weekend. He had the injury last weekend that came up. It obviously affected the way he played last weekend. He wasn't very dodgy. I don't even know if he took a shot, and if he did, it was only 1 or 2. Was very passive in his game. A little rest, all of that is never a bad thing in my opinion. Let him take the week off and, give Joe Robertson a chance, give Nakai a chance, and run kind of some smaller mesh ups with the offense. A Jules, Nakai, Miles, or a Jules, Joe Robertson, Miles is a little more combative in my opinion. Let them pull Jules and then, attack with the other shorty instead of Miles there. Instead of attacking with Perk and Miles, there's so much congestion in my opinion. They're so big. They want to be on the outside. They want to dodge from either that right top or the middle top. Those are literally like the only 2 places Miles and Serge dodge from. So they kind of stay stagnant there in the offense. Maybe it's time to separate those two, put them on 2 separate lines and give them more space away from each other to work. We have plenty of pieces on this offense to have them be a focal point in the line and make it more productive all around. So I think they should play with the lines on offense. And Serge sitting out this week for some more speed to combat how physical this game is going to be could work out on the offensive side. Send, Joe Robertson, Nakai, Jules on some sweep dodges. Just give them the ball and let them run as far as they can, see if they can beat that brute strength with some speed and create some goal opportunities. So I'm excited to see what offense takes advantage of the small slip-ups that defense presents them with.
Yeah, the only reason I'm like bummed that Serge isn't playing, and obviously, like you said, he didn't look like himself last weekend, so injury-wise, it's good that he's sitting out, but I think that was part of, a big problem last weekend offensive-wise is that, we've relied so much on that exterior offense of, beyond the arc, 2-point shots from Miles and Serge over the past couple years where that lacking, I think, hurt in a way where if we were able to get that type of production against that Atlas team, you see a much closer type of game, and you saw that later from different guys where you started to get those, deeper shots from Nakai, almost from Charlie Bertrand. If his it was very like KD Game 7 against the Bucks, where if his toe wasn't on the line, maybe get him a half size cleat smaller, and that's a 2-bump. But I think that being part of the identity of this Redwoods team almost since 2020, pretty much, you need to have a little more of that involved, I think, because we've seen that work. And if you can use the outside game to, put emphasis on opposing defenses to be like, oh, we got to come cover the R, you can send guys inside, and then that's when you can score, quick interior goals and send some of those shiftier guys inside to kind of crash the net.
Complete opposite. I literally think the complete opposite, and it's more of looking at the whips and looking at that Miami stint with LeBron. You take your inside shots, your easy, quote unquote, easy shots first. Then you let the defense converge in on you, over worry about the middle, and then that's when you take the outside shots. They're additives, they're extras. We don't want that to be the base of our offense. Look at the Warriors. Anytime they're not hitting threes, they're SOL. If Steph Curry, look at that 2016 NBA Finals, Game 4. They're playing in Golden State. Kyrie Irving had one of the best defensive games I've ever seen in his life. Holds Stephen Curry to 2 points in the first half because Steph Curry literally couldn't get a 3 off without him being smothered, so he couldn't hit one. That's kind of what this Woods offense looks like right now. We're in a position where we're not getting those open 2-point shots. So now our defense looks stagnant, and we can only put up our offense looks stagnant. We can only put up a couple goals a game. It's not where we want to be. Get those inside looks going, and then use that 2-point game as an additive once you have people kind of slumping in and going extra on the inside, trying to take those looks away. Only an additive, because then when they're over pressuring you out there, hit them with a hitch dodge, and now you step into a 12-yard shot, 10-yard shot. That's going in too. You have so much more options when you make them worry about the middle first versus worrying about the outside. It's a lot easier to worry about the outside and converge on the middle than to converge on the middle and worry about the outside.
Which, again, it all boils down to RP3 can't be shooting below 20%.
Or the fact that we need an actual inside threat as well. Ryan Lee, Clark Peterson, maybe Joe Robertson takes that slot this week. RP3 didn't look bad inside. I don't mind Jules subbing on RP3 sliding inside after they've worked it around, and Jules playing X from there.
I also need Cav to be passing way better than he was.
Or just don't play. Anyway,
those
play
two
better.
were
Play
those
better.
two were the biggest things offensively for me, in the core offensive, pieces for this team is, kind of just carrying over from last year with RP3 shooting percentage, but Cav also needs to pass better. If you're going to be on that outside, you got to be able to, hit your man and be able to set up guys across the board, whether it's Ryder, whether it's Jules, RP3, whoever it is. You can't be sending balls 30 feet over guys' heads. Chaos Archers, this should be a fun matchup. Both teams 0-1, coming off 1-goal losses. I mean, not that either team did anything wrong last week, honestly. Like, from both of these teams, I just want to see them continue to just do what they did last week. Other than Archers, I want to just see Matt Moore a little more often. He kind of disappeared in the second half of that game. And, you know, granted, they caught some fire in the second half, but I felt like they were really bouncing around more and a little bit more shifty in the first half when Matt Moore was out there. And we didn't really get a reason as to why. Matt Moore kind of disappeared. Everybody was wondering where he went. But in this matchup, I just want to kind of see these two teams continue to do what they did last week. And it's going to be interesting for Archers. They don't have Ignacio this week because of visa issues. But overall, like, I wasn't truly mad or disappointed with what I saw from either of these teams, knowing the circumstances that Chaos were under. Just continue to do what you did and just see what happens.
Yeah, this one, there isn't a lot. It's more about how good of a game does TK have. It's going to come down to possession. All right, Gitz is going to play well. Blaze is going to play well. Defenses are going to play well. The question marks with both these teams are offenses. And the only question mark really with the Archers offense is, you know, Grant being out. You know, not having Connor hurts a little bit, but you can really go without that because of how deep your midfield is. My opinion to what I think the Archers should do for success is to start Connor DeSimone down. I think he gives them more of a Grant Ament type look.
He was great.
And to run Matt Moore out of the box with Tom Schreiber. Because, hello, who do you pull with Matt Moore and Tom Schreiber on the same line?
And then you just cycle kind of Matt Moore and Ryan Ambler, and we know what Ryan Ambler's capable of in this offense.
Yeah. I mean, and there's plenty of options you can go with there in their midfield line. But I think Connor DeSimone is definitely
He really impressed me.
And I mean, I knew kind of what he had from watching him at Hopkins this year, but like to see how he slid into that offense and kind of took over that quarterback role that Grant normally plays and kind of played with the same style that Grant does really helped that offense kind of find its footing in the second half. I just think it's better for their scenario right now. And I also think it's better for Matt to start taking those midfield reps because when Grant gets back, that's where he's going to be taking them. So I think he should get used to being up there, dodging from up there again, going against this talent at the midfield role because that's probably where he's going to play on this Archers offense. And looking over at Chaos, the offense didn't look bad in my opinion to, you know, be in the position they're in. I like that they added Austin Staats, going to look and see what their offense does with the new additions and, you know, people
That's
being
huge
out
for them.
because
Like,
oh yeah, absolutely huge. With
to get the boy back, that was breaking news today as we record this on Thursday. Austin Staats is back in the league, reinstated. That changes the whole look of their top four because now you add Staats in, who hasn't played for this Chaos team, by the way, since the bubble because he did not play week 1 of 2021 when the incident happened. He's playing with his teammate Westberg from San Diego. He's got Mac O'Keefe in there. Like, we joke about this team being the Buffalo Bandits, the chaotic Bandits, but right now they're the chaotic Seals because there's a bunch of San Diego Seals guys, which I think is also going to help Austin Staats acclimate into this offense again and playing the field game for the first time since 2020 at the professional level. That's a massive pickup for Andy Towers. And, like, it's not the Staats brother we thought that they were going to be picking up. But to get a guy who has at least played for AT before in the past, knows kind of what he's trying to do, and it fits Austin Staats' play style, now you're adding a physical element because Austin's so big and he's so, you know, bulky and just a massive force. That changes so much of what they can do inside with this offense that now, to me, like, this makes Westberg so much more lethal across the board, whether he's, you know, crashing the net or having Westberg outside because we know he can rip a 2-ball.
I'm just interested to see where they line them up. And then, like I said, especially after talking and really listening to what I've just said the last few minutes, TK has to have a huge game because if the Archers offense has the ball in their sticks enough, they're going to figure it out. They don't have that many guys missing. They have lots of good pieces. The more they have the ball, the more they're going to click. So TK's got to have a good game to keep it in Chaos's hands so their offense can have as many opportunities as possible. And, yeah, I just want to see if they're going to run Austin Staats down at attack or if they're going to take him out of the box. I mean, he can do either one. There's no real rhyme or reason why
they might do both.
And, yeah, and there's also no reason why he can't do both. Like, there's so many options they have with Staats to help their offense. So TK is the real star here. That's who we're looking at. He has a good game. Chaos probably wins. He doesn't. Archer's offense might run away with it.
Yeah, this is going to be, I think, the most fun game to watch this week, especially now that Austin's back, which you and I were talking about off pod. We're like, this weekend, we were like, do you think we'll ever see Austin Staats and Matt Gaudette ever again in the league? And we were both like, maybe. And then this afternoon, boom, Austin Staats reinstated. Because we didn't know how that process would even work. Because obviously the contracts are signed with the league and not teams currently. So we didn't know how that was all, going to shake out. But we also both said that, Austin being afforded this opportunity, we hope the same opportunity is afforded to Matt Gaudette if he chooses to take it. We'll see. But I'm excited for this matchup. Archers Chaos is always a fun matchup. Saturday, 6 p.m., first game, ESPN 2, Atlas Cannons in best offensive performances we saw this past weekend. Get to match up in week 2. Jeff Teat versus Lyle Thompson. I mean, Lyle said it after the game to the ESPN crew. Wants to see them put together 4 quarters because they kind of, slipped up and didn't really do too much after their big lead that they gained against Water Dogs. This game is going to be so fucking fast that don't blink. Like, tape your eyes open because this is going to be one of the fastest PLL games, like, ever in terms of just, like, how quickly these offenses can move the ball, how shifty these midfields are. Romar is playing for Atlas this week, which is going to be a lot of fun to see how he kind of factors into this year's brand of Bulls lacrosse. And I think you and I were saying before, we started recording, Bones Kelly, if he pops out like he did in Albany, oh, buddy, like, look out. Because this Bones Kelly, when he's on, like, we saw it, he can score. And going up against Trevor Baptiste, who once again put his full-blown talents on display last week, this is going to be an unbelievable matchup.
The stripe.
Shout out Beast.
Face-off athletes all over the world. Everybody watching this game. Anyone on the planet should be watching what happens at the face-off stripe. That is going to be the most important part of this game. If Trevor finds his groove and just runs away with it, Atlas is going to win like 28-5. But if Bones steps in, gives him a run for his money, this is going to be a back-and-forth game that, is going to come down to the wire. Maybe, Bones has the week he had last week against Withers. Cannons could do the same thing and end up winning 22-2. Like, these are 2 teams where literally what happens at the stripe is going to determine it because their offenses are unreal. I didn't know what to expect with Cannons making the moves they made this offseason for their offense. 12.5? Hello. There were teams
so fluid.
There were teams this weekend that didn't score 12 goals. And they did it in a half. So, like Lyle said, if they were to put 4 together, 24, maybe, if not more. Like this,
and even if you cut it in half, like that's like 18. Like they could have put up more, and they put up 16 goals on the weekend. And man,
but then you flip it on the other side, and we're talking about an offense that is literally loaded loaded, even without Jake Caraway. Like, this is
and
going
mind
to
you,
be,
these two teams last year played an 18-17 matchup in Baltimore, which was just unbelievable back and forth. And these two offenses scored the most goals collectively last weekend as well.
they're just so even right now in terms of like how their teams are constructed. Defenses are playing great, shut-off defenses right now. Lots of energy. Cannons is getting Brody Merrill back this weekend. Hello, that defense is only going to get better. Face-off guys are looking good. Offenses are rolling. Goalies played good last week. Nick Morocco played so good. He's the only goalie rated in the 1 tier for Player Royale this weekend. Like, they have all the pieces they need on both sides. This is going to be a full-out heavyweight knockout punch matchup. And it's going to be much like Whip's Chaos last weekend. Who gets the last call? Who has the ball in their stick at the end of the game is probably going to win it.
And as stupid as this sounds, like, and as early as this game is this season, like, this could be a very big swing game for the playoffs if these two teams continue to stay atop the standings. Very excited for this game. And like you said, if you're a face-off athlete in high school, college, you should be watching this game. You should be watching both of these games this weekend, taking notes, looking at how these 4 face-off guys play, because the final game this weekend, 8:45 on Saturday, ESPN Plus, Whips, Water Dogs. Again, 2 of the best in the world, Joe Nardella, Jake Withers. You already know Jake Withers is going to have a bounce-back game. It won't be, the easiest matchup for him going up against Nards, but, like, these 2 guys are creme de la creme, some of the best on the planet, and Whip Snakes, I think you and I said it after the game in the press box, they should not be happy with the way that they played last week offensively, unless your name is Mike Chanenchuk, because Channy's back. Water Dogs, tale of 2 halves. The score doesn't really tell how dominant Cannons was in that first half, but if they want to beat this Whip Snakes team, they need to get Ryan Brown going, they need to get Michael Sowers going, and they need Ethan Walker to kind of be a facilitator to really open things up like he did when he first got inserted into this offense last year on Long Island. He needs to be kind of in a point guard role, moving the ball around for this offense, for those shooters to go and beat Kyle Bernlohr, because that's how you're going to win this game, especially if Whip Snakes offense is still in the state that it was last week. If you can get your shooters going, if you're Water Dogs, you have a real good shot to win this game.
I think it starts with Ewok sliding down and starting at attack. I think Kieran McCardle should run the mid. I think he has more of a Jules-like aspect to him to play that hybrid role. So I think that's really all their offense needs to do is switch those 2, and I think they'll be fine. They didn't look bad last weekend, and I think this is a good matchup for them to be able to bounce back in. Looking at the Whips defense, they didn't play exceptional last weekend. Bernlohr was okay in net, but, I mean, he didn't look phenomenal. So, like,
he looked better than he did towards the end of last year, though, which was a good sign.
He definitely looked better than he did last year, but, like, he didn't have a, oh, my God, Kyle Bernlohr's back kind of game. So, like, this is a game where their offense can definitely get things back rolling. I think their Water Dogs have the upper hand, in my opinion, in this game, looking at how their offense is constructed, especially if they make that switch, and then their defense is just playing better. If you ask me, this is the Water Dogs to lose, just because the Whips don't have Zed. Whips have Zed. We're probably talking about the Whips almost easily winning this game, but since they don't, and that offense being in the position it's in, and their defense, I don't know what's going on with the Whips defense, but it doesn't look how it's looked in the past. Water Dogs have to take advantage of that. Dodge more up top with Mikey Schlosser and Zach Courier, and, run things through the mid, in my opinion. Run things through the mid, see, if it doesn't work from there, that's when you go with your attack. Run it from the mid to start, and then bump it through, Ewok and Michael Sowers to dodge from down low if you get nothing from up top. But I don't think anything can get in their way other than Joe Nardella having the game of his life, in all reality.
Yeah, I think the only thing I disagree with about what we saw from Whip's offense too, I'll say this, unless your name was Channy or Justin Gutterday. I thought Gutty had a very good game, kind of playing more at his traditional role, playing attack, playing a quarterback almost for them last week. I want to see more of that from Gutty because it's what he's good at. It's what he's known for. It's before Mac O'Keefe and Chris Gray. It's why he was the all-time leading scorer in NCAA history. Like, Gutty can play that role, and he's confident playing that role. And we saw that last week against Chaos, and I think he looks comfortable in this offense. I think, getting a full training camp in Staggs' system and not kind of just being a trade deadline acquisition, he looks a lot more comfortable, and I think he's going to continue that this weekend. It's just a matter of, you got to get Rambo cooking. You got to get Jay Carlson cooking. And we'll see what they can do against a very good Water Dogs defense that I told you in the press box. If I had my druthers, I might take that unit over any other unit in the league. And I still feel very confident about that after last week. And then I think the other big thing with this Water Dogs team for me that you want to see, how does Matt DeLuca respond to kind of just being peppered last week? It's no easy task. Even though Whipsnake's offense wasn't as fluid last week, it's still a very tough matchup going up against playing Lyle Thompson and company to now playing Matt Rambo and crew with this Whipsnakes offense. So I'm very intrigued to see how Matt DeLuca bounces back, if at all. Who knows? Whipsnakes could come out firing on all cylinders, and Matt DeLuca gets hung out to dry again. But that's lacrosse, baby. That's the beauty of this game. And I think without any further ado, because it is still about that time, we got to feed more ducks, and it is time for our PLL Charlotte picks of the week, powered by the homies over at Pickup. Go to playpickup.com, start playing those headlines, the hottest headlines in sports, rack up points on your fan profiles, and cash them in for prizes. Playpickup.com. DJ, first matchup of the weekend is Chrome Redwoods, Friday night lacrosse, 6 p.m. Eastern time. How we feeling?
This one hurts the heart. But I am still a little concerned about our offense not quite being able to click, running into some issues with the ball dying in sticks, not getting good enough dodges, not moving the ball fast enough, not having an inside threat. There's plenty of things I think as a coach that could change about the offense that they just haven't made yet. But the Chrome offense is scary as well. Their defense is playing good. I got to go Chrome this weekend.
I liked what I saw from Chrome's offense last week, but it was only for one half. That's a concern to me if you're a Chrome fan, if you're pseudo. You need to see consistency for a full 4 quarters because they put up an 8-piece in the first half and then were held to 3 goals the rest of the game. Redwoods, I think some advantages they have in this game, as well as Connor Farrell played. I still think having TD is an advantage. And I think the way we saw Jules play is a massive advantage. I think this is going to be a close game, but I think it's a get-right spot, and I think Redwoods take a close game against Chrome and get their first win of the season. ESPN Plus 845, Chaos Archers. Very fun matchup on deck. I think what we saw from Archers was not terrible last week. I think Connor DeSimone played very well in the Grant Ament role. Need to get Marcus Holman more looks to help this offense. I think that'll really help them a lot. But when you got the best goalie on the planet, and when you got a Chaos team that didn't look bad with quote-unquote replacement players, and now you get big body Austin Staats back to kind of play bully ball up the middle, I'm not taking Andy Towers I'm not going to pick against Andy Towers after losing a 1-goal game to Whipsnakes in the final seconds. He's pissed off. He's going to want to punch people in the chest. Give me Chaos to get a big dub in Austin Staats' return to the lineup, and look for the Chaotic Seals to have a very good game this weekend, because I think they're going to use that to their advantage. Give me Chaos over the Archers.
I like Chaos, and it's simple. I got a lot of trust in the defense. 11 plus 88 equals 99. Those guys have been phenomenal. CJ Costigo and Troy Ray are doing their thing. Glick and the rest of their short stick D-mids are doing well as well, playing a very good 6-man cohesive unit. And then you add the brick wall and net with Blaze. I really like that side of the ball to really handle things. Offense may have troubles at the beginning, but I think defense is really going to be able to keep it in reach, and they'll be able to hold it out. So I'll take Chaos.
And I think it helps for Chaos that you have a guy who knows the PLL cadence, where Archers are going to have a first-time face-off guy with Inacio out. And also just it's one of those things where, like you said, the defense for Chaos looked exceptional last week. But I really like TK in the face-off position to be there and win that matchup at the stripe over a first-time guy once again for Archers. So give me Chaos, give DJ Chaos. ESPN 2 on Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Atlas Cannons, the Speed Boy battle. How do you see this one playing out, Deej?
I got to give a slight advantage to Atlas, and I'll take them to win just because Trevor hasn't taken a beat off. I mean, look back all the way back to, I guess we can start with last summer. Phenomenal last summer, rolled right in the Wings. NLL played well for the Wings all winter. Came back out first game of the year looking great for Atlas. I assume he keeps it rolling, and like I said in just a few minutes ago in our preview, the stripe will be the thing to look at in this game. He's going to take control, and even as good as Bones has been this year, and I think he'll still have a good game, Trevor's going to be a little too much. Ball's going to be in that crazy offensive hands of the Atlas too much, and they'll win. It may not be by a lot, 5 or less, but nonetheless they win.
Yeah, I got to go Atlas as well, simply for Trevor Baptiste being the face-off guy. And that's no slight to Bones, because he played well. But with Bones, it's a matter of seeing the consistency there. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. I think it could be very similar to what we saw in Baltimore last year. Both of these defenses played very well last week. Brody Merrill coming back could be a huge factor for Cannons. But I also like Romar being introduced into this midfield this week for the first time this season. What he brings to the field is exceptional. I love his play style. And if he gets going out of the midfield for this Atlas team, look out, because it just adds another dimension to what this team can do. So give me Atlas as well. Final game of the weekend down in Charlotte. Whip Snakes, Water Dogs, 8:45 p.m. Eastern Time on Saturday night. Water Dogs got things going in that second half last week against Cannons. I think the biggest thing was just they were not expecting to see what they saw from Bones Kelly, and they couldn't get possessions, and that's why they didn't get as many scoring opportunities as they did. I love their defensive unit, and I think they have the depth and the speed to really go toe-to-toe with this Whip Snakes team. The biggest thing is they got to get Ryan Brown going. If they can get him cooking from all angles to really start scoring for this team, that's a huge benefit, and that's what really makes this Water Dogs team tick. And I think it'll only benefit Michael Sowers. It'll benefit Ethan Walker. It'll benefit everybody on this Water Dogs offense. So I'm going to go Water Dogs in a close, pretty decently high-scoring matchup. I think there's going to be a lot of offense in this game. But I think Water Dogs win and get their first dub of the season.
So, there's this little thing called Great Minds. Andy Copeland's a great coach. I'm a great coach. Great minds think alike. Andy Copeland's going to switch Ethan Walker and Kieran McCardle. That offense is going to play phenomenal. Withers is going to give the ball plenty of times. But I think it just comes down to the fact that Whip's defense has been struggling. Water Dogs' offense looks like they kind of found it at the end, but are still searching. So I think they're hungry. They want to finally click and roll with it like they did last year. I think this is a good game for them to do that with a struggling defense. So I think they find that stride, at least for this week, and are able to come out with a win. So I'll take the Water Dogs as well.
So to recap, DJ's got Chrome, Chaos, Atlas, Water Dogs. I've got Redwoods, Chaos, Atlas, Water Dogs. So we do have a swing game for the first time this year, as we both went 0-4 last week in our picks. But those are our PLL Charlotte picks of the week, brought to you by the homies over at Pickup. It's going to be a fun weekend of lacrosse once again. Make sure you guys are following us on the socials at OTBLaxPod, Twitter, Instagram. Keep your eyes peeled for the Albany vlog coming at you this weekend. And make sure you're following DJ on Twitter at SCS_NextGreat. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Check out the website, undergroundsportsphiladelphia.com, for all of our written content. Subscribe to the podcast feed, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Leave those 5-star ratings and reviews. And, of course, subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Hit the like button, the bell icon, all that good stuff. Get the comment section flowing, and join our Twitter communities. And DJ and I have a fun Player Royale little back and forth that we're going to have on the show starting next week. So you'll get all the details once this weekend goes down. But if playing...
Do we give out our squads this week?
Yeah, we can give out our squads to end the show. If you're playing Player Royale, send us the matchups. I think they fixed things to where now you can send the link, because last week I was having trouble accepting matchups for some reason. But I think I can take them now. So send us your links for Player Royale, but let the people know your roster, Deej.
I got a banger of a lineup this week. I don't think anyone in the country is going to beat me. Anyone in the world, for that matter, is going to beat me. Coming in hot, Tier 1 at attack, Jeff Teat. Midi, Tier 1, Jules Henningberg. D, Tier 2, Troy Ray. Face-off, Tier 3, TD Erlin. And goalie, Tier 2, Blaze Ritter. Banger lineup, projected for 91.4.
I am running it back in 2 spots. So my attack, Tier 1, going with Lyle Thompson once again. My midfield, just this is ridiculous that he's Tier 3. Captain America, Tom Schreiber. My defense, Tier 2, Eli Gobrecht, friend of the program. My face-off, Tier 1, Trevor Baptiste. And my Tier 2 goalie, the brick wall himself, Blaze Reardon. Projected 86.6 points, which I already know will be higher because Tom Schreiber is not putting up only 4 points again this week. So that's our matchup. DJ and I have a fun little situation going on, which we'll detail next week once we see how everything plays out. But that's why you got to listen to the podcast. And that's why the real ones listen all the way through to every second of the podcast. But
do we
send us the challenges.
Do we vlog our at-home watches next week?
That would be hilarious.
Put together an at-home vlog.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to my couch.
All right, guys, I finally made it home from my tournament. Now we'll go to Deej's Dungeon and watch the game the right way.
Tweet at us at OTBLaxPod if you want the at-home vlogs every weekend that we're at home and not on the road.
That would be iconic. I don't think anyone's ever really done that.
It's like iCarly. It would be electric.
I apologize in advance for me panning over to my screen, and you're probably going to see nothing but white. But I'm sure I'm going to see something and just instantly go, oh my God. And it's going to be nothing but a white screen. I'm sorry in advance.
I mean, like, boy, I'm about to yell, freeze it right here.
I'm about to yell, freeze it right here so loud.
Oh, man. It's going to be a fun weekend in Charlotte. If you're going to be in Charlotte, tweet at us. We want to see pictures. We want to see all the good stuff, where you're sitting, and enjoy a fun-filled weekend of lacrosse, NLL Finals, PLL Charlotte. It's going to be a doozy of a weekend. But this has been episode number 225 of the allegedly award-nominated, honorably mentioned, and of course, viewable on YouTube, Outside the Box podcast, part of the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. Big thank you to our sponsors, Tomahawk Shades, Kenwood Beer, and Bino Board. All of their information is linked in the podcast notes and the YouTube description. Use our codes at their website to help support our sponsors. It helps support us and all that good stuff. But until next week, we will catch you guys on the flip side, where I'll be on Long Island hanging out with some of the underground golfers next week. But I'll be at Hofstra, so if you're going to be on Long Island, let us know. And until then, we're getting the hell out of here. Peace.